Hello everyone, and welcome back. This is episode 9 of my Stationeers Let's Play. So in the last episode, we finished up our furnace room and have yet to test it out. I've been working on some heavy coils here for future planning. I also went ahead and printed out some solar panels, and of course, in order to do all that, I went and grabbed a bunch of resources. All right, so let's test out our room here and see what we're looking like. All right, so we want to start filling these canisters. Let's start with the volatile. Now, one thing I can't remember if I pointed out in a previous episode or not, so I'll mention it again, is these pressure regulators, they regulate, in other words, they won't allow more than, like this setting is 9,900 kPa. They won't allow more than that much pressure on this side of the pipe. You know, they won't pump in that much more. However, they don't pump very fast at all. They're actually very, very slow. So I have a theory, but I haven't tested it out yet. And my theory would be to set up a pipe volume pump, like the one that's outside the corner here that goes to the tank that we have outside, if you remember that, so that it moves air faster, because those move air really fast. So I think it would work to put one here, and then afterwards put a back pressure regulator set at 9,900 here, and have its output go over to the pipe that goes to the tank, so that we save it. That way, if the pipe volume pump pushed too much pressure in, it would pull it out, and we wouldn't have anything blow. Like, we wouldn't blow these canisters. Those would be the first things to go. I think that would work, but it's not something I've tried yet. So I think for now I'm just going to leave it the way it is. So we need to fill these canisters. See, they're still empty. All right, so we need to fill these. So let's start with volatile first. So we'll turn on our pipe because we want volatile to be the top one. All right, this is on. So I'm going to switch to my belt, and I'm going to take a thing of volatile and throw it in there. All right, and it's starting to melt right now, and it's starting to go into the system and be fed up into there. And how we can decide, or how we can determine what's exactly happening, is we grab our tablet here, and then we take the Atmos analyzer. Switch to the tablet, open its hand up, switch over here, switch to the other hand, and then swap the cards in it. Okay, I'll throw this tracker card back. And now if we turn this on, it's an atmosphere analyzer. And if you have trouble viewing the tablet when you're holding it up, you can use the plus and minus keys on your number pad to zoom in and out. It actually doesn't necessarily zoom. It increases your field of view. So you got to be careful, because if you go too far, it can get kind of warped. See how that's warped? But sometimes the toolbar at the bottom of the screen can kind of get in the way of your readings on your tablet. So, it can be helpful to zoom it out a little bit sometimes. So anyway, let's hold it over this pipe. If you look right here, 1.19 MPa of pressure and going down, and that's hydrogen, H2. And if you look where it says H2 100% to show that it's 100% hydrogen in the pipe, right below that number is the mol, which is the amount. So instead of pressure, it's the amount. I assume the volume that's in there, and that's going down because this pressure regulator is pumping it through, and it's going up here. So if you look up here, you can see the pressure here is actually rising. So it is pumping that up. So it's working. Okay, working, looks pretty good. Remember, these can hold up to 10,000 kPa. And since this canister is connected to this pipe, we can know the pressure in that canister by holding it over the pipe. So we know the canister pressure is 2.81 and rising. All right, and rising pretty quick. But we know it can hold 10,000. Right now it's at 3,000. It's just clicking to. Okay. But if we look over here, this is getting pretty low. So I think we're okay to add some more. We don't necessarily have to, but you might as well. Another way to check if you don't want to use your tablet, or if you don't have your tablet handy, remember I talked about earlier the ends of the pipes. If you take a pipe out of a network, like just remove a certain piece, the ends magically seal themselves so they will not lose the gases in them. Same thing happens with a canister. I can pull this canister out and it won't lose the gas that's in it. But if I pull it out, you can see right there, there's 3,894 kPa in there. All right. So one way to do it is like I put it back in there and I wait a couple seconds, and then I grab it again, and now it's 4,169. So that tells me that it's still gaining pressure. All right. So that's pretty good. We're getting a lot of pressure in there. I'm going to go ahead and add some more because we see that it's working. I don't know if there's an exact number you need to do. It looks like my light went out there. I'm going to put that in and go with that. Now, the nice thing is this pressure regulator is not going to allow this to get over 10,000, so I don't have to worry about blowing that. So while we're waiting for that to go through, let's run out here and swap the battery in our light. All right, so put this away for now, grab our light. Let's grab a small battery for now. Open up the light, switch the batteries there, start this one charging, and then since we're here, even though we have a high charge in our battery, we're going to switch to a full one. Might as well, right? Since we're standing right here anyway. And then we can put our light back. And now we've got it. All right, so let's take a look here and see how we're doing. All right, that's still going down. We're at 6 MPa here. So we can remember we can get up to like 9,000, was it 9,900 or 800? 9,900 that I set this to. So we're still gaining, so we can leave that a few more minutes, let it go. See, remember it's slow, but if you wanted to speed it up, you might be able to use a pipe volume pump, but remember it doesn't stop. It just keeps going. As long as there's something to pump, it will pump it. So you need that back pressure regulator so that if it gets over a certain pressure, it'll release it. You definitely want that. Or if you know the exact amount of hydrogen here to put in to get the pressure you want, you could definitely try that too. I don't know those numbers, and they're not numbers I care to try to memorize. All right, so let's go over here and pick up some of this stuff. We can get started over here. Let's see. We need some more steel frames and steel sheets. We have nothing in here. All right, so let's do it on our fabricator. All right, so we want steel frames and steel sheets because we're going to want to expand our solar up here. The reason I want to expand the solar is because even though our battery's doing fine, we've got power, we're doing all right. What often happens is this is out of sight, out of mind, so to speak. So we'll start building in the base, and you'll get distracted, and you're building stuff, and things are going well, or they're not going well, and you're like super focused on it and trying to figure it out. Well, what can sometimes happen is, I'm gonna put these back really quick. What can sometimes happen is you're not paying attention, and you're draining the battery, and not enough power is coming in to recharge it, and eventually your battery drains, and you lose power on your base. And then it's a mad scramble to try to get stuff up and going again because you need power, if nothing else, for yourself, for your life support. So that's definitely something to consider, is expand your power periodically. Now, these wires here, we already mentioned, have a limit of 5,000 kilowatts. And so that's why we have this transformer set at 4,800. We can actually increase it to 49 if we want, so that we know we won't blow any of these wires. We're not going to push that much power in. The heavy wires can go, I believe, up to 50,000 watts, but I may be wrong on that. But a lot. Basically, rule of thumb that I was told was for heavy lines, about 10 solar panels is all you want to put on heavy lines. And any more than that, you want to have a separate line for and have them completely separated so that those won't blow. So, keep that in mind. So don't necessarily go nuts and build, 25 solar panels thinking, yeah, sweet, and then end up blowing stuff because there's too much power going in them. But you want to keep expanding so that your battery is always getting recharged. You don't want to get it down. If you start seeing that it's in like yellow lights, then it's, you need to pay attention to that and start building. I know on the stream that I'm currently doing, on my dedicated server for this game, a lot of my viewers play, which is awesome, but then people sometimes will pop in and just start building stuff and not think about the power, and we've had a couple different times where we've had kind of a power crisis because so much was built, and it's by different people are building different areas and stuff and trying to get them to all work together, but so much stuff will get built that we all of a sudden our batteries are all drained, and we have a ton of batteries. We have like 9 batteries or something just on the main part of the base. It's not even considering the other parts. So it takes a lot, but it's happened. Ooh, well, flipped out there. All right, so what I want to do is build some steel frames and steel sheets, and I'm just going to use this. I don't necessarily have to, but I know I have a bunch of materials I've already put in the fabricator, and I don't have that much in these. Yeah, so I'm going to just do it here. Even though this is slightly slower, I'm not too worried, because remember, I'm also working in that furnace room. All right, so let me get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll get like 12. Let's do 12 frames. Maybe wrong on that. All right, so this is the nice thing about using this, is now it's making 12 frames. Well, for 12 frames, I'm going to need 24 steel sheets. So we can add a second one. And I can actually grab this and pull down, because I know it's down in the S's. Once you learn it, you can move it like that, but until then, you usually want to scroll, because it's going to be hard to find stuff sometimes. So steel sheets, I know I want 24 of those. So yes, they're going to all just pile up right now down here, but once all the frames are out, then the sheets will start popping out, and then once those are done, it'll just stop producing. So unlike these other machines, it'll just go forever. So I'll get that going. Let's take a peek in here and see how we're doing. All right, that still has 65 kPa, and it's barely going down. So yeah, see, we're really close here. Yeah, we're pretty much there. Okay, because that's, yeah. And this is set at 9900, so that's good. All right, that's what we want. So to double check, you can take the canister out. Yep, 9900, exactly. So we're going to shut this valve off, and now we still know we have gases in here. Okay, and we want these to drain. So we're going to take the excess that we have and push it. Actually, I take that back. I was going to say we'll push it out to the tank outside, but you know what we can do? We can just swap this canister with this one, because this one's full, this one's empty, and they're both going to be for the volatiles. So swap those canisters, and now this one has equalized down to 3863 because it's got this pipe with it. Okay. And now this one's getting pressured up. So let's open this back up again. Yeah, so now we basically have 2 canisters worth of storage if we wanted. But this is going down pretty rapidly now. Now that there's a vacuum over here and it's pulling air through. Yeah, so that one's voided. That's fantastic. Okay, look at, we filled that other canister almost. All right, so we can shut that off. There is still pressure out here, but it's equalized the pressure in here. So we're not going to be able to push any more in. So this is the one where it's just in this pipe network here, network 6, that we need to void. So we need to get it out. Oh, one thing about the void, watch how fast it goes compared to how this was going. Right now there's 8.74, I don't even know what that stands for, mega MPa. And there's none over here, but we know we have that pipe volume pump out there, and it's just turned on. It's sucking in on this right now, and there's nothing in it. So let's turn this on and watch. See how quickly it went down? It was at 8 something. So it's going much faster. So that's another argument for using the pipe volume pump out here. But again, you just got to be careful. You got to be careful. But we want this to go down to no pressure. And once there's no pressure on this one, we know that we've taken all the hydrogen out of these pipes. All right, what's this set at? Let's bump that up just a little bit. Let's bump this up a little bit. I looked online, and the pressure you want for making steel, which is what we're going to try to make first, the pressure you want for making steel can go up to 100,000, which is pretty high. You try not to get it that high, but it can be as low as, I don't have the number off the top of my head, but I want to say it was like 100 or 200. Like, it can be really low, or maybe 1,000, maybe 1,000 to 100,000, something like that. But it can get very, very low. So I'm upping that pressure a little bit because I know I can get a little bit higher, but no big deal. All right, so let's look. That's done. All right, so it's voided. It's worked. All right, so we shut that off. So now we know we have volatile actually in both of these. And that canister almost filled all the way too. So now we know these canisters are still empty. So we need our oxide. So this is shut off. We can turn this one on now. And now we can put oxide in. And let that start going. So while that's working, it's actually, you know what? I'm going to go a little bit more. I know I'm going to put at least that much in. All right, but while that's working, let's come back out here and take a look. Here we go. We got all our stuff here. So let's put this back and let's start grabbing these frames and then sheets. All right, so it's still working on our steel sheets, but that's okay. I just wanted to clean it up a little bit there. And then we had one extra steel sheet here. So let's go look at our frames here and see how we want to do this. I'm thinking I want to just keep extending this direction out here. But I want to make sure I can get around it. So I'm going to go ahead and put the frames here. Now again, I don't know if it might not be again. I don't know if I mentioned it in this episode. I like to have the space around it, so it's just easier to maneuver if you ever do have to come up and mess with them. So I put extras out here. You could also build the solar panels like in between two, so you still have space to walk around, but you're not using 3 full frames for it. So this is actually a slight waste of materials, I would say, but I'm okay with that. You know, we're already using steel, which is dirt cheap in comparison to iron, so I'm all right with that. So I'm going to just build this out a little bit here. Looks like we might need to do some drilling to clear this out. So let's do that right now while we're waiting on that oxide. So oh wow, big hole. Oh, there was a little copper in there. Jetpack out here really quick. Get rid of that. Go over here where it's a little safer. And then turn everything off. Okay. Put that guy back. So we've got our frames set up. So let's go back down here. We'll just throw this frame here for a moment. And let's go check on our gases here. So that's still rising. That's still lowering. So we got a little bit of time. And oh, my light's dead already? Wow. Oh, it was a small battery I used, huh? Wow, that went fast, didn't it? All right, so let's fix that. Let's use a bigger battery. And we'll solve the battery problem. I don't know if it'll happen this episode, but we'll solve it very, very soon. All right, so let's get that small charge going. But now we got a full battery in there, so it should last quite a bit longer. And I have my mask battery off like I want. Let's grab some of these sheets here. All right. That should be all of them. Yep, that's all done. So we can turn this off. Now, if you look, this has all been running, and it ran overnight. And see, I'm already down to 3 yellows on here. Now, I still have a lot of power, but, you know, something to be wary of. All right, so let's go back up here, and we are going to swap our belt really quick. And we want our welding torch. And let's go weld up these frames. I should have grabbed my solar panels while I was over there, but didn't think about it at the moment. I don't know how many glass sheets I have left, if any. I can't remember, but you're going to need one glass sheet per solar panel. So I hope I have some. I hope I have at least 3. If not, I'm gonna have to go out and find some silicon to make some more glass. All right, get this done. You just got to be careful when you're welding. You don't want to weld any wiring. You're just gonna melt it away if you do. All right. You know, granted, you can just replace it, but yeah, try not to. Try not to have to. All right, so we're looking good there. So let's go down here. Let's pick up these solar panels. Put this back. I don't see any glass sheets there. Oh, I have some there. Sweet. Okay. So let's go place our solar panels. And even though I just talked about space-saving stuff, I'm just going to keep them in the same basic order that I did before. So I want power on this side. You know, spread them out. You have plenty of space. You don't have to build things all... Like, a lot of people will scoot them closer together and stuff like that. And while you certainly can, it's more space efficient that way, you don't need to. You have plenty of space in this game. Like, you have this whole moon. So my suggestion is much like Factorio, while it's fun to make things as compact as you can, until you really know what you're doing and you have it really planned out, space it out. You have room, you know. Unless you're playing with biters in Factorio, you don't have to worry about space. All right, so let's take a look now. Ooh, we're just watching it finish. Right there. So that is completely done. How are we looking here? So it's pretty full right there. Yeah, and it's equalized on those. So that is done there. So let's actually, before I do that, just to save a little bit before I void this guy's empty. So I'm going to swap it. So now the big full ones are here, but now this guy now just equalized with this one. So he got some of this gas. You see now it's down to 5.17. So that way I'm not voiding all of it. In fact, can I get more in there? Yeah, just a little bit. Just got it to equalize a little bit. So I can do that. I'm done with that guy. Turn this on. Watch it get vacuumed out really fast. Whee! Okay, so the first thing I want to do is make some more steel. So I'm waiting for this. Now, I don't necessarily have to wait for this. I just know, but I'm afraid that if I turn and go do something else, I will forget that I've left this open, and then I'll throw a bunch of stuff in here, and it'll just get sucked right out of there. So I want to make sure that this finishes, and I shut this valve off. So that's why I'm just sitting here monitoring it. You don't necessarily have to. Come on, there we go. All right, so that's off. All right, so let me look at the mixture again. I'm going to pop, oops, I did not mean to do that. I'm going to pop this up by 1, just to try it out. All right, so now we have a mixture. I have 150 iron and 50 coal here ready to go. I've got the mixture, or the gas mixer, turned on. So the nice thing about this gas mixer is it's using 2 to 1. So 2 volatile or hydrogen to 1 of the oxygen nitrogen mix down here from the oxide. So in other words, this thing's going to empty faster than this one. But this will take care of that. As soon as this line is emptied and it's used up all the volatile gases it can, all the hydrogen, it will not keep grabbing oxide and push it in, because then the mix wouldn't be right. So it's smart about that. So you don't have to worry so much about that part of it. So we have this turned on. I think we're pretty much set. Right now, nothing in here. Okay. So let's try this. Let's turn these on. And now, right now, what's in here is getting pushed through, and we should see this changing. See that going up? Now, these numbers right here, I'm sure somebody's got a good idea of what they should get to. I don't. I just kind of let it go for a little bit. I'm not too worried about it because I'm not dealing with tons of pressure going in here. So as that's going, remember, this guy's really slow. This guy's fast, but this guy's really slow. So let's take a look, though, and see. Yeah, see, we're just about out of the volatile. And we still have a little bit of the oxide in there. Yep, there it is. That used up all the volatile. How are we looking in the chamber here? So let's do this. Let's swap those. And we can swap those. So that should be pulling a little bit more now. Yep, And that's getting higher. That's good. All right, so I can't tell you the exact numbers to go for here because it's going to change depending on your mixture, depending on the temperature in your pipes, the temperature of the gases. All that is going to determine this. So I can't give you an exact number. You can find guides online that'll give you relative numbers. But what we're looking for is a temperature, I believe, over 700 and a pressure anywhere above where it's at now. So when I click activate, it's going to ignite the gases in here. And there it is. It went pretty high. Look at that. It's pretty high, pretty hot. So let's throw our stuff in here really quick. So put this iron in there. And then once that's done processing. So it's melting it down right now. Going up to 150. And see, we're losing pressure and temperature as we're doing this. So you kind of want to get it in there pretty quickly if you can. But right there we can make steel. So let's do it. Pull the lever. And look at that. Our chute did not work properly. We didn't get the steel because there's nothing in there. So let's try this really quick. Deconstruct the chute. And look at that. We lost it underground. Well, tip number 1 for you. Don't put a chute in like that. Unless you have it come out and back up. Because we just lost that steel. That's unfortunate. But the nice thing about the furnace still going is we can start smelting much faster than that arc furnace everything else. So let's throw some gold in there. And let's go over here. See, what else do we got? We can do some copper. Let's do a little bit of copper. Oh, man, I'm a little bummed we lost that steel. Okay, so we can actually take all of this copper. As long as the temperature's high enough, we're going to be fine. So there's some gold, so let's grab that. And there, oh, look at that. It didn't mess up. Well, we close the mold. And throw this copper in. And the temperature's going down pretty quick, so let's try to hurry. But at least we got the gold done. I'm a little bummed about that steel. What I'm not sure about is if we got rid of this, if it would be stuck underneath inside somewhere. It could be. I don't know. Oh, I just threw that gold back in there. Oops, wrong key. Wrong key. All right, so now what's going to happen is it's got a weird mix of gold and copper, which isn't going to make anything. So we need to spit it out, and now we have these reagents. Okay. We don't have to worry too much because we can turn those back into what we want. So I'm going to put this copper in there. I can't believe I just did that. 2 mistakes. One with the steel and then one with the copper and gold. So I lost a little bit of gold I had. All right. So I'm gonna let this go. I'll leave it kind of sitting here like this, powered up. But I could lower this back pressure regulator, and it would keep this down. Like I could lower it all the way to 0, and it would make this go all the way down to 0 without it just naturally cooling. All right, let's turn this stuff off. But this reagent stuff, you can build a centrifuge to take care of that. So I'm going to go ahead and grab it and save it. I think I already have some in my locker. So once I build a recycle machine and a centrifuge and stuff like that, then I'll recycle this material so it's not totally lost. But we were successful. Our room works, right? We got it to work. Nice and controlled, slow. And the nice thing about using this furnace and then having this mixture is you no longer have to worry about you doing it at nighttime and being worried about losing like your oxide or your volatile melting in your hand before you can put it in the furnace. Because even if a little bit does melt, you're getting most of it in there. And since this mixer is handling the mix, you don't have to worry that you lost just a tiny bit of volatile or something like that. It's not going to screw anything up. Now, if you wanted to go one step beyond, you could seal the room off, do that, and then check the atmosphere in the room. And if there was any volatile or oxide in the room, you could set up a vent to push it into the system. So you could definitely do that so that you don't lose what you already had. Okay, so let's grab some coil and go up here and finish up these satellites. Now that we've used our furnace room, seems to work. We'll worry about it a little bit more later. So the first thing I want to do is orient these things properly. So if you look at this, it's at negative 90 degree rotation. So we want to get these the same. All right. So those are good. And the nice thing about this is since we already have our system connected, these will automatically start working as soon as we hook up the data. It's going to be really nice. So I'm going to use my trick of doing these first and then go to the straights and do those. Just a little bit easier that way. And the only thing it does is it really just makes it so I'm not switching shapes and having to realign them all the time. So it's not that big of a deal. But I got that done. Let's pop over here and whoa, use our jetpack because we fell down a hole. Whew, close one. All right, so now we can grab our regular cable. And let's find, can we get this? All right, that junction will work, so we'll use it. These will be our data cables. Go back to the straight one. Get this bad boy connected. Oops, left a little too fast on that one. So now if you watch, see how it's harder to tell now because they're not too far up, but see how these are all perfectly flat and these are already started to angle. As soon as I put this in, these will start adjusting. See that? Now they're all equalized. And these three are now just added to the system. So as soon as the sun comes up, I'm gaining 3 solar panels more power into my system. So that's great. Looking good. Definitely need to add some more so I can walk around the edges there. Add another couple frames. But so there we go. We got our power grid expanded just a little bit. I'll put this back in my belt. Put this guy here. We got our power grid expanded a little bit with 3 more solar panels. We tried to create some steel. Oh, you know what? Let's experiment with this and see if that steel got put underground or inside this. I don't see it there. So let's swap belts. I'm guessing we've lost it. But I'm also curious. All right, let's see. I doubt it got pushed down into here any farther. Yep, it's not down in there. But now we know. Okay, let's turn our light back off. Turn our tool off. Put it back in our belt. Swap our belts. And now we can rebuild this thing. Okay, so carefully though, because I don't want to burn the power cables that are going around it. And there we go. All right, well now we know. If I had connected more chutes to it and like brought it up so it would pop out somewhere else, that probably would have worked just fine. But I think because I had it clipping in this, it just, messed it up a little bit. But, that's my fault. That was an experiment to see if it was going to work. And it didn't. But, all right. So we got something accomplished this episode. That's pretty good. I think the last thing I'm going to do before I end the episode is make some nuclear batteries. So what I've done between episodes is I've gone out and got the materials I needed to create the alloys for the nuclear batteries. And I'll show you what those are. Okay. So I want a nuclear battery for my light, one for my person, and one extra. So I'll make 3 right now, although I'll make a bunch more down the road. But as soon as I click this, you'll see it takes... Oh, it helps if I turn this on too, huh? It takes electrum, invar, constantan, and solder. All of those are alloys that you can make in this furnace. And The only one that's different than the others is Invar. Electrum, Constantin, and solder you can make with the same pressure levels that I just used to make that steel. So the same exact process. Invar is a little bit more tricky because you have to have a higher pressure, but it's a more of a narrow pressure window, and it's a more narrow temperature. So it takes a little finagling and with the gas mixture and stuff like that to get it to work, but you can look that up online and find it. But once you make those, then you can throw the materials in and you can start creating your nuclear batteries. Nuclear batteries are very close to the same storage as your base batteries, not quite, but close, and way more storage than your standard batteries. So we're going to want to get these on this charger and get them charging right away, so that hopefully they'll get charged enough we can begin using them. I'll just throw this. No, let's put it over here. All right. Oh, I want a nuclear battery for my tracking beacon too. I'm going to build another. Why not, right? I have the materials. I have a ton of materials. So I'll make one more, and that will be earmarked for my beacon, because I don't want the battery in my beacon to wear out when I'm out and about mining. So better to have a nuclear battery in it. And these take forever to charge because they hold such a large charge. But once they're charged up, they last a very long time. And you just use them like a regular battery. They just last much, much longer. Okay, so in our next episode, I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do yet, but we may look into creating that centrifuge so we can get our materials back out of those reagents. And then we'll start talking, maybe, I don't know if it'll be in the next episode or the one after that, but we'll start talking about air filtration and how to, like these gases that we've got here. Let's close these up so they're not in the way. These gases that we've been storing in this thing, we can start releasing into a system to separate them into the actual airs. Look at that. We've got stuff in there. Let's see, what do we got? Okay, so let's zoom out a little bit. So you can see in this portable tank, we have hydrogen, oxygen, and nitrogen all in there. And that's because we've got it from both the excess of draining the pipes over here and the output of our furnace when we have smelted. So even our steel helped us get that air, even though we lost the steel. But yeah, lesson learned on that steel thing. I'll just leave it like this, I guess. Eventually what I would do is in a main base. I don't know if I'll do it during this Let's Play, but what I've done in my my stream base, and I like it, is I think I mentioned this before. I put a bin with chutes going up to the top, and you put stuff into the bin and it'll insert up top. But that allows me to move this furnace up quite a ways, and then the bottom is up farther, so this you're not going to lose stuff. It just drops and it's easy to get. You could also put chutes there or conveyor belt or something like that if you wanted. Once you've got that fabricator built, you can pretty much build anything as long as you have the materials for it. Some things you can't build in the fabricator. I think signs is one of them. You have to build signs in one of these other machines, but most things you can build in the fabricator. I'm going to shut that computer off. And look at those batteries are charging away. All right, and here comes the sun for the first time since we got our 3 extra solar panels up, so that's good. So far so good. We're making some progress on this game. I'm pretty happy about this. We are, however, at the end of our time. In fact, I've run a little bit over time, but I wanted to make sure and get those nuclear batteries going and charging so I don't forget before my next episode. So I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I hope you will join me for the next one. Don't forget to comment if you enjoyed it. I'd love to get some feedback. It's been wonderful, the comments I've gotten so far. I'm very thankful for those. I try to reply as soon as I see them. And I really appreciate them. Even just the, hey, good job, or I've seen a million of these, but I'm glad you're doing something. Whatever the case may be, I enjoy the comments and I really appreciate them. So I hope you'll join me for the next episode, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Take care, everyone.